All right, so as you're doing stuff on a computer, you might want to save your progress, right? As you're writing your CV, your cover letter, even if you're playing a game, or if you're writing an essay or any document, it's a really good idea to save your progress from time to time, just in case you want to go back so that you don't lose any of the changes you make. So let's look at how to do this with Git. I'm inside the folder here. Your terminal might look a bit different, but it doesn't matter. All it matters is that the commands I'll be writing will appear down here. So let me do an ls. I have a few folders here, and let's go into this one. Okay, so now I'm inside the recording folder, and let me try to use git init. Right? It's saying that it's trying to reinitialize an existing Git repository. So that means that the recording folder was already managed by Git. So the first thing we need to know is that you only have to run git init the first time you create a new folder. Once you've run git init once, then you don't have to do it again. And Git will even warn you. Okay, so if it's already a Git repository, let's see if anything has already been saved on it. Okay, and to see previous saves, to see previous commits, we can run the Git Log Command. Just remember for now that if you want to see the list of previous commits, so what has already been saved, you need to run this command down here. So let's do that. To see previous commits, it's git log -- one line. Okay? There was only a single save in this folder, and that was to add the CV. And if we look to the right here inside Visual Studio Code, we can see there's a single file which is empty at the moment. It doesn't have anything. To exit the screen that I'm in now, I can press the Q key on my keyboard, right? So to exit git log, press Q. Okay, so now that I know there's only a single commit in this folder, let me add a new file. I'll use the touch command, which will create a new file, and let's add a cover letter. Okay, and if we look here to the left, we can see there's a cover letter that's been added. Nice. So let's save that. So since we added the cover letter and we haven't actually made any changes to our CV, we just want to save the cover letter. So how do we save something? Well, we have two main commands for saving in Git. The first one is git add and then the name of the file that we want to save. And we can use this again. We can use this a bunch of times. And finally, once we've finished adding everything we need, then we can save all of them at once by writing git commit -m. And -m is really important because if you don't pass it, you're going to see this weird screen where you have to type in the message manually. So if you write git commit -m, you can just type in the message directly. And in the message, you have to explain what you actually did in all of these files. So for example, added information about education. Okay, so let's try to git commit first, and let's see what happens if we try to commit without adding. I try that and it says nothing to commit, right? But it's telling us this file is present. Okay, so Git is actually being really helpful and it's telling us which files we need to add. So let's add that file first. Git add cover letter. Cool. And now we can go ahead and save it. Right, so we can just type the same commit message again. And now it's saying that, yay, it worked and a file has been added. A file has been changed. So now if we go back here and we take this command, git log one line, and we type that, we can see that now we have two commits in here, adding a cover letter and adding a CV. Okay, so I'll press Q to exit. Now let's actually make some changes to my CV. So I'll I'll add information about my name, and I'll add some years of experience. And then I'll also go to my cover letter and I'll just mention something in here as well. So now imagine we have a lot more files in here, but we've only changed these two. So how can we see which files we changed? Well, there's another useful Git command to see which files we changed. We need to type git status. Okay, so if we type git status, that's gonna tell us that we have some changes here made to the CV and the cover letter, but they've actually not been staged for commit. So what that means is nobody has added them yet. Okay, so let's add our first file, which is git add CV. Okay, and now if we type git status again, we can see that CV has now been moved up. Okay, so it's not red anymore. It's been moved up here under the section changes to be committed. And still under the changes not to be committed is our cover letter. Okay, so let's add our cover letter as well now. And I will type git status again. And now we can see that both of them are green and they're both under changes to be committed. So I'll commit them. And I'll say add personal info and git skills. Okay, perfect. And now it's actually helpful. It's telling us that two files have been changed to confirm that we've actually saved these two files. So let's go down here and just go look at git log again. And rightfully so, we now have 3 save points, right? So we have the first one where we added a CV, the second one where we added a cover letter, and the third one where we added some personal info and information about our Git skills. Okay, I'll press Q again just to exit that. Cool, let's make some more changes. Let's say I want to add information about my education. So I graduated from the University of Aberdeen right here in Scotland. Cool, I'll save this. If we look at git status now, we can see that the changes not added to the next commit yet are in my CV. Let's go back to my cover letter now, and let's just add some closing remarks here. I'll save it. And now I'll write git status again. And now we can see that cover letter has been added as well to my list of changes. Okay, so let's do something different now. So let's add the CV, right? Because we need to add it before we can commit. I'll add my CV. I'll write git status. We can see that the CV has now become green and it's under the section changes to be committed. But now let's commit. So let's not add the cover letter yet and let's commit directly. So I'll just do git commit. And now because we're only saving the CV, I only want to write the message about what I did in my CV. So what did I do? I added information about education. So I'll just add education section. I'll commit it and it's confirming that only the single file has been saved. So now if we type git status, now only the cover letter is in here and we don't have the CV anymore, okay? Because it's already been saved. And if we type git log, we can see that, yep, it's been added to our list of commits, right? So where we added the education section. I'll press Q, and now I'll add my cover letter as well. Perfect. I'll type oh, I made a mistake. I'll type git status, and now we can see that the cover letter is green and it's under the section changes to be committed. Perfect. So now I'll type git commit -m, and for the message, I'll need to type, because the CV has already been saved, now I'll need to type what I did for the cover letter. So what did I do? I added the closing remarks. So added closing remarks. And And by closing remarks, I mean just this, regards and my name. Cool, so I'll press enter. And now again, because I've only saved the cover letter, it's saying that I've only added one file. And if we type git log one line, again, we see our new commit in here. So we're starting to add a few commits on here. Okay, so that's great because we can see a history. We can see where we began and we can see in order what all the changes that we made were. And this is why the message that you give to each commit is really important, because it becomes part of your story. It becomes part of the story of how you change that folder. Okay, let's exit out of here. And now I'll go over some more things, but I just want to emphasize what we're going to start talking about now is the advanced part. What I'm going to cover as part of this, you don't need to know to be able to follow the course from now on. Okay? To follow the course, you just need to know how to git add, how to git commit, what is the difference between them, and also how to use git status, right? These are the only 3 commands you need to know for now to be able to follow the course. So even if you stop watching the video now, you'll be fine. But I'll show it to you anyway because it's interesting and you might be curious. So if we type git log again, let's see how we can actually go back in time and go to these different snapshots. Let's say I want to go back to the point where I just had a CV. Okay, so I'll copy this number here next to this one. I'll right click copy, press Q, and I'll just type git checkout and I'll paste in this number here. Okay, that is the command. And if I press enter, watch what happens here in my folder. I now have only a single CV that is empty. So what happened there? Did we just delete all of our progress? No, it's all saved. To go back to the point where we had both a CV and a cover letter, we can now do git checkout master. And I'm not going to talk about what master is or what git checkout is for now. I'm just showing you these to prove that we can actually go backwards and forwards in time with Git and how powerful it is. So if I press enter now, I can see that the cover letter appeared again with my closing remarks, my sentence, my CV, education, all of it is still there. Perfect. Let's do that again. I'll do git log and let's go back to the point where before we added the education and the closing remarks. Right? I'll go back to the point where we had a cover letter and we also had some basic personal info. Okay, so I'll copy this, press Q, and then I'll do git checkout and I'll paste that in there. And look at this, look at what changed. So we don't have the closing remarks anymore in our cover letter and my CV doesn't have the education anymore. And to go back to our latest save point, I'll just write git checkout master again. And we have all of them. Okay, so nothing has been lost. So I've not been lying. Git actually saves your progress at each of these points. Nice. And the last part that I wanted to show you is let's actually send our changes up to GitHub, right? So let's send our changes to the internet so that other people can see them. So I'll click on this plus button here. I'll click on new repository and let's give it a name. I'll call it learning how to Git and I'll keep it public and I'll just click this big green button here, which is create repository. And that's going to give us this message. And I want to select SSH here. So click on SSH first. And now it's going to give you 2 sets of instructions. And the one you want to use is this one here because you want to push an existing repository. So you already have it locally. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to copy these 2 commands. I'll copy, I'll go back to my terminal and I'll just paste them in here and I'll press enter. So now if I wait a bit, I'll get a confirmation message. It's saying this and then it's saying this. It doesn't matter what it's saying, but you should get a similar message. So now if I go back to here and I refresh, which what happens? I get to see my CV, I get to see my cover letter, I can click on the CV, I get to see all of the information I filled in. And what's really interesting is that if we go back here, I can actually click, see how it says here 5 commits? I can click on it and we can see all of our commits in here, all of our saved messages, right? So that's really cool. But again, you don't need to know how to do this. We're gonna practice it. We're gonna practice it together. Okay, this is just showing you in advance some of the things we're gonna be doing. Okay, cool. That's it. Thank you.